Hello, Renee Flamand here. You guys, we need to talk about this slap. I see very polarizing, different sides. Polarizing and different are the same word, so that was redundant. To the whole situation. And I just want to chat about it because it's everywhere this week. And there's all kinds of opinions. Chris should not have made the joke. Will should not have punched him. Chris didn't know Jada had alopecia. It was just comedy. And people have a ton to say. He should have been charged. He should have been escorted out. He should not have been allowed to receive the Oscar and give a speech and get a standing ovation. I find the entire gamut of different opinions a bunch of interesting points. I want you to stay with us today. Sit. And I have to say truthfully, I love award shows. I always watch them. I like the accolades. I like watching the fashion. I like listening to the speeches. I like learning how they came to be an actor. Oftentimes that's reflected in their speeches, and you get a heartwarming moment, right? And I've loved Will Smith for 30 years. I loved his whole story when he came out. I'll never forget it. He said he showed his grandmother his lyrics. And she said to him, now you could look it up and find it, I'm sure, but this was decades ago, before computers. I never looked it up and verified it, but I watched him say this in an interview. He showed his grandmother his lyrics, and she said, that's great, but you should be able to express yourself without swearing. So take the curse words out, it would be better suited, right? Well, then this, I mean, because honestly, it was his scream at the end of the clip, particularly the tone of his second scream, that made me shudder and know it's not a bit. And it was using the F word on national, huge, millions of people watching television. So it was kind of like the opposite of what his grandmother told him to do, right? If you haven't seen the clip by now, just take 2 seconds, pause, and go look it up. It's a 3-minute clip. And I understand, and we're going to unpack it all. I'm kind of hitting a few points here, and then I'm going to go through it like I do. I understand the urge to protect your family. I also know all too well the remorse that can kick in after a reaction you may impulsively act on. Oh my God, do I? And that's essentially what we have here, isn't it? He reacted impulsively. And Monday's video, back to our narcissistic topics, is all about that reactive abuse and how we go through that with narcissists. So tune into that. But I also, however, do not think Chris Rock was making fun of Jada's alopecia. For all we know, he didn't even know she had it. She's been public, but maybe he doesn't pay attention, maybe he doesn't know. She's been public with that since 2018, I think. I love Jada too, have loved her longer than I've loved Will. She was out first, right? She's been out since the 80s. So now, what do you all think? It all seemed very odd to me. If you look at the 2-minute clip or whatever, he laughed at first at Chris Rock's joke. Then the camera cut back to Chris Rock, and we don't see the interaction between him and Jada. Now, we saw Jada's face when Chris Rock made the joke. She went, like, she didn't like it. So my guess is that when the camera went back to Chris Rock, there was an exchange. Or maybe he just noticed his wife's face and was like, oh, she's not happy. Oh, right, that was insensitive. Oh, my God, he's making fun. I don't think he was making fun of her alopecia. I'd like to think no human would do that. So my go-to thing is that Chris Rock didn't know she had that. And that's not the joke he was making. Okay, so the delayed reaction. Then he gets up. And not for nothing, I thought it was a bit. Because Chris Rock was joking. Oh, here comes Richard. Here comes King Richard. hit him. Chris Rock took it like a champ. I don't even think his hands left his pockets, or his sides at least. His arms never came up to defend himself. He never went to swing back. Nothing. When he went back to his seat, this is the part that made me know it wasn't a bit. The yelling seemed worse to me because he screamed from the audience, "Keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth." And Chris Rock went on to say it was a G.I. Jane joke. Yes. Okay. And he says it again. Keep my... And the way he screamed it, it just really brought everything just down further for me. If he had kept it at just the hit, I think we'd still be wondering if it was a bit, because Chris just kept it going. He didn't get street back. If the yelling part didn't happen from the audience, they would have been able to sell me if they conspired later. "Oh, Chris, please, can we just say it was a bit? I'm sorry." I would have believed it. But with that screaming, that over-the-top, guttural, loud screaming, "Keep my wife's name out your effing mouth," like he was, it just seemed, I don't know, there was a show going on. He made his point with the hit. Not that I think that was appropriate either. And again, there's more unpacking to do with this, and I will get to that. But let the show go on now. Like, it's not the Jada and Will show. I understand it's reactive and it was impulsive. However, as I said, you have to at some point... Okay, so when you're in the moment of being hurt or seeing a loved one hurt, and maybe you've been in that situation, people can and do lose it. And I'm wondering if he regrets it. Deep down inside. That'll be the discussion forever. The different sides of it. And I think it speaks to so many things. I've listened to lawyers stating how it was indeed a criminal offense. I've listened to a comedian, Kathy Griffin, got on, and she said, do we have to have a concern now as stage comedians that if we say something we don't like, that's opened the door for an audience member to come up and hit us? You know, we all remember Don Rickles, the very famous insult comic. What would that have meant for his career? Again, yes, alopecia is a medical condition. Yes, it's sensitive. But I just think, I was listening to all the talk shows. John Oliver made it a verb already on Jimmy Fallon, talking about his grandmother and how she Will Smithed somebody at the age-old home that she was in towards the end of her years. Will Smithed someone. So you have 30 years of work you've put in, Will. You finally get this accolade, and you've become a joke. Like, that's a shame. That's a darn shame. That's what it takes. And that's the industry. It's public industry. You know what I mean? And there's something to be said for violence never being the answer. There's also something to be said for man-to-man defending. Mano a mano. A punch used to be the go-to between men. You see it all the time. Boom. You insult my wife. Boom. But now with everything so tightened up, how could you? And on TV? But, again, Jada has dealt with this very openly. It bothers her. He's her husband. Perhaps he laughed at first because he's a comedian and he gets it, but then he looked over at his wife and realized she was bothered. A lot. Because then he got up and we all saw what happened after that. Turns out, and I'm sure you've heard all this by now, Chris isn't pressing charges. And there are some that think that he should. I don't know. I think that's Chris Rock's way of saying maybe he was sorry that his joke went too far. And why would he press charges? It was a slap. He's not injured. These really are champagne problems when you break it down, except for my girl's feelings being hurt. There's nothing champagne about that. I mean, can you imagine just for a second? Can we just think about that for 1 second? And many of you, maybe some of you have dealt with it. You're a woman, a beautiful woman, which she is, an actress, beautiful woman, and then having to deal with alopecia happening to you. The horror. I'm sure there are some pretty sensitive moments she goes through. And Will got caught up in one, reacted spontaneously. And I read one comment about it, which really incensed me. It's not like she's Beyonce. She's worn her hair short forever anyway. Blah, blah, blah. Are you kidding me? I think that comment was more insensitive than Chris Rock's joke. That's an insensitive comment. And Jada's a girl. She's losing her hair. Period. It's devastating. And she's an actress, girl, beautiful, losing her hair. It's devastating. So I thought that comment that I read was more insensitive than Chris Rock's joke. Some say that he should have included an apology to Chris Rock when he accepted his award and apologized to the entire Academy and the other nominees. Now, he did finally yesterday via Instagram. Interesting to note, there was a murmur that the Academy was pondering consequences which have included taking the award away. Now, I'm not saying anything. I'm hoping he's genuinely apologetic, but one can't help but wonder, and I'm trying to bring up all sides here to provoke thought, is his apology motivated by the consequences that he may end up having? Look at I don't know why my nail polish just popped off my nail, so I'm sorry about that mess. I can't imagine any of their positions, to be honest with you. Not Jada, not Will, not Chris. Obviously, since I'm not them. But this is about temper, maintaining cool, and remaining when someone provokes you. It's about you keeping your composure when tested. So that's the question. Like, have you, when you've been put to the test, have you kept your composure when tested? I don't know about you, but I have failed in almost every time life has put me in a situation like this. And one incident in particular that I think of, DCS, Department of Child Services, called my home. My daughter was in a Christian school, Catholic school, Christian school, and rather, because I had transferred out and then went back to Catholic. But anyway, hello, we're just calling because, this is the phone call I got. This is just calling because there were some complaints made that such and such a teacher was inappropriate with some of the children, and your daughter's name came up. Now, it was a female teacher, so now I'm thinking abuse, like hit, yell, scream, holler at kids. They were 3rd, 4th grade, I think my daughter was in. You've already lost me. I'm losing it. Flipping out on the phone. What do you mean? Within 2 minutes, probably, the person on the other end said, oh my God, I am so sorry. I misdialed your number. You're not one of the girls that complained. I literally looked at the list and dialed the wrong number. So now I convinced myself, no, you're just saying that now because you're afraid of my reaction and you're backtracking on what you originally called for. So what do? This is an overreaction. I look up their address on the on the computer. I drive there. This gets bad. Their entrance is glass doors, ceiling to floor. I go up to the door. I'm already berserk. I was berserk on the phone. I think I probably told them I was going there. By the time I get there, they see me coming. I'm screaming. I'm a maniac because I'm worried about my kid. What? Tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. What do you mean? Who hurt my kid? Like I was out of it. They locked the doors. I'm taking my little size 5.5 foot. I'm a grown woman. I regret this beyond. I'm putting my foot like against like the glass. Like I'm gonna break their storefront glass. Is this not ridiculous? This is like 15 years ago. I have my temper under control since then. But I was beside myself because my family was being, I thought she was in danger and they weren't being honest, and I was going to get to the bottom of it right then because I was going to wreak havoc on whoever possibly even touched a hair on my daughter's head. The police came. Nobody was arrested. I ended up calming down. They said, we're not opening the door. She's a maniac. They ended up opening it, and then they explained, look, we really did misdial you. It wasn't your daughter at all, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Did I regret that reaction? Oh, my God, of course I did. But it was my child. And it was Department of Child Services calling me. I thought really that they were lying when they said they made the wrong call because they were stunned at my reaction, so they covered themselves or something. I don't really know, but I flipped out. And honestly, I didn't have any tools to handle the wave of emotion that came over me. I have since done a lot of work, which my daughter and husband, they would tell you it's true. I'm a different person now, but I've done a lot of work, but I didn't have the tools to handle the wave of emotion that came over me. Maybe Will Smith has some work to do in that department, in having some management in that area. Maybe this is an isolated incident and he never does this. We've never seen him do it before. But once you flip, if you ever do flip, how you handle yourself afterwards is so key. Like, my daughter and husband laugh at my former temper. But they've also seen me explain myself to the person, cry with regret, apologize profusely. As zany as I've gotten with anger, the sadness and regret that would creep in was generally even worse. I always thought of a way better way to handle it after. I always realized my reaction wasn't necessary after, but this is the essence of emotion and anger. Reactions often are impulsive and quick, right? Not a lot of us have the ability to go 10, 9, 8, or we don't think to do that. And only Will Smith knows if he wishes he handled it differently. But I can tell you, regret is an awful thing. He has to carry that, what he did, however he feels about it, he has to carry it for the rest of his life. That 1 hour before his career's crowning achievement, this went down. And I'm not sure how that could not ill affect the occasion. Like, I wonder about the ride home. Like, it was either, I got you, babe. You know I was going to get up and protect you. I'm sorry I laughed at first. I was trying to be cool, but I saw your face. I got you. Or maybe it was, why did you give me that look like I was supposed to do something? I laughed originally. This is your fault. You couldn't just smile and let the night unfold? Couldn't we have just waited until tomorrow before addressing Chris? You made me feel like I needed to react. These are two extremes. I have no idea. I don't know them. But we'll never know. But anyone who's been with a narcissist, our regular topics of discussion, is certainly aware of being blamed for bad behavior that isn't ours. So that's why my mind goes there. We have no idea what the ride home was like. We saw the rest of the night, though. He received an award. He got a standing ovation. He made an apologetic speech to the Academy and to his nominees, excluded Chris. They went to the after party. They were dancing after the after party. I mean, and then his son tweets, and that's how we do it. Now, I hope he means win an Oscar and not what his father did. But, of course, the speculation is he's talking about his father protecting his mother. Well, what are you teaching your kid? And is the comedian Kathy Griffin right? Did it open a door now to anything? Like, I remember, when school shootings started, and I'm not comparing what he did to a school shooting, please. But I remember when they started, I remember being so horrified, right? In the beginning, with the beginning ones. Then it became one after the other, it becomes like commonplace. The first person to do it was this this incident. So does that mean that people are going to take a cue and say that that's okay? Is a lot. And there can be a lot of second guessing yourself. And I've no idea if he is or he isn't. I certainly have many times. And Will Smith will work it out however he does. It's a big thing, though. I can't imagine if my tantrums were caught on camera in front of millions of people. Now at this point, yes, he apologized formally. But then my question is, does he feel that? It was very well worded. You can look that up too. Does he feel it? Or does he feel inside obligated to maintain his stance that led him to the stage? Like deep down. Or will he, with reviews, see that his reaction has indeed tainted his win? Brought the house down in the wrong way. Made the whole ceremony about Jada. And you know, he could have handled it differently, and I'm sure he's thinking that now. There's a lot going on there. But I'm wondering if deep down inside, in his own home, with his own family, is he going to maintain I'm protecting my woman thing? And then I wonder, is his motivation to apologize because there was talk amongst the Oscar people that they were going to maybe rescind his award and there were going to be consequences and all this business? So what motivated his apology? Is he apologetic? Or is it you're motivated because you got to make nice real fast because they might take your award away? And that's not nice for me to say if he's truly apologetic, and I feel for him if he is, because there's nothing Will Smith can do to undo that moment. It brought the entire house down. It changed the entire mood of the whole show. And Chris Rock just went ahead and presented best documentary best he could. He kept it professional. He tried to make another joke about it being the best night in television, and show must go on. But what Will Smith did was bring the whole house down and make the entire thing about him and his wife. Now, on a night that is about so many firsts, so many beautiful moments, Liza Minnelli came out with Lady Gaga. They did a tribute. They were going to do a tribute to Betty White. Now, I didn't watch the show, but I watched clips the next day because I don't have cable in this house, and I couldn't figure out how to get the show on my Fire Stick. And I went to my neighbor's house, but he had to change the batteries in his remote. I said, just don't worry about it. I said, I'll go home. I'll watch it tomorrow. I'll find out everything. But originally on the red carpet, it was Jamie Lee Curtis talking about she was going to do a tribute to Betty White. I didn't look that up. That's a beautiful moment. Like all these beautiful moments and all anyone's talking about. People broke records. The winner for Best Supporting Actress. The winner for, you know what I mean? The deaf actor who won. All these records were broken, yet all we talk about is this. And you know, unfortunately, regret and hindsight are definitely parts to deal with later once you lose your cool in any capacity. And like I said, I'm making a video on this on Monday because an audience member asked me, can you talk about the reactive abuse that we go through with narcissists, how we then react, and then we might regret later? Is that what happened? I don't think that this is normally something that Will does. So it was definitely reactive abuse. It is behavior that he doesn't normally exhibit. I think that he will regret it for the rest of his life. That's what I definitely feel. Because there's no way to not regret something that upset the entire evening, set the tone for the show, had people coming out trying to scramble and make up for it and get the energy back into the room. I just think it wasn't a good example to show people. And, you know, listening to the lawyers this morning and yesterday, as I do, I look things up before I talk to you about it. It's a criminal offense. It's also something for which Chris Rock could sue Will civilly for, right? And it went unnoticed, unpunished, uncharged. He sat back down in his seat. He got to accept the award. He got a standing ovation. He got to make his speech crying. He got to apologize to the Academy and his nominees. But there were like no consequences involved. And I don't think he should lose his Oscar. He won that for acting. He's been acting for 30 years. I don't know what could be done. A PSA announcement, him making a formal talk, face-to-face camera, a 5-minute clip that goes out to the world stating it's not proper, it wasn't, violence isn't the answer, and because that's all over the place that you're hearing right now. Violence isn't the answer. And I get that, and it shouldn't be. And, I'm kicking my foot against the door of the DCS building. That was pretty violent. I was a lunatic. But if anything ever comes up that even breathes in the way of hurting my child, that's how I am. Like you know what I mean? Most mothers are. And I definitely am. I'm half French, half Italian. Oh, yeah, it gets loud. So I flipped out. I think of that to this day. It's such an old story. I still carry it. And I think that his penance is he will carry that for the rest of his life. And yes, they show clips of him, dancing and at the after party and whatever. And I'm sure they did that and they had a great time. And he was like, I'm not going to let it ruin my night. And they said Chris Rock was having a party on the other side of town and everything's fine now and whatever. You're not going to tell me that didn't ruin their night. That's hanging over you. Actually, that's hanging over him for the rest of his life. That will be a joke forever. That will be a meme forever. I told you it's already a verb. My grandmother Will Smithed someone. I wouldn't want to be a verb. I mean, it took 20 hours for that to become like that. So there's a lot more that he's going to have to handle when it comes to this. And I just wanted to bring it up because it's everywhere. Heard around the world. So what do you think? You think it was too much? You think he was within his rights? Do you think that it's good he was protecting his wife? Do you think that there are other ways? Of course, there are a million other ways. He could have remained in his seat. He could have even spoken up out loud. I'm an award show junkie. I've been watching for years. And somebody that always sat in the front because he's a multiple Oscar and Golden Globe winner and he's always game for jokes is Jack Nicholson. If you're not an award show junkie, just look up clips of Jack Nicholson. He used to sit right in the front. He's got the sunglasses on, the great movie star smile, and whoever was on stage was always like, making a joke or crack a joke at Jack. Jack's always laughing and game. That's kind of the mood of an award show. And we didn't even get to enjoy, not that we didn't enjoy, of course we did, because I watched all that too. The 3 presenters, first time in years, and it's 3 women. 2 of them are of color. Like, this was a big night in many, many ways. Like I said, it broke a lot of records, and all we're talking about is Will Smith. I can't help but think he will regret it. And please tune in Monday when I talk about reactive abuse towards your narcissist. Because, you can lose it. Will Smith lost it. It happens. It happens. And I just wanted to mention it and get it all out there because there's a lot to think about. And you might find yourself sometimes reacting that way, quick, off the cuff. And I think, I've learned to temper it down. I've learned to count back. I've learned to recognize if there's a trigger in front of me and then I remove myself from the situation. There's another way to stop it. In this situation, he couldn't have removed himself. They were at the Oscars. He was in the front row. His wife's in the front row. I feel bad. I feel really badly for everyone involved, and I think it was a darn shame. I just wanted to bring it up because our Off-Topic Fridays, this was too juicy not to talk about. And I originally had bullying outlined for today. Isn't that weird? Kind of bullying, what he did. Get up and hit someone. So bullying will be next Friday because that's a hot button of mine. You'll see me go like, I can't. I can't with bullies. I cannot. I can't. But anyway, I just wanted to mention it. I love our Off-Topic Fridays. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you Monday.